The communication hub of the Artemis hummed with a quiet intensity that belied the potential chaos lurking in its systems. Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez sat motionless, her augmented neural interface crackling with microscopic connections that stretched beyond traditional human perception. Her fingers hovered above the holographic console, suspended in a moment of pure anticipation. The distress signal was unlike anything she had encountered in her decade of deep space communications. It wasn't a clean transmission or a standard emergency broadcast. Instead, it emerged as a haunting symphony of fractured data, a linguistic puzzle that seemed to pulse with an organic rhythm. Each burst of static carried undertones of desperation that transcended typical communication protocols. Around her, the bridge crew moved with the synchronized precision of a single organism. Technical specialists worked their stations with an almost telepathic understanding, their movements calculated and deliberate. The advanced sensors of the Artemis were designed to catch the most minute variations in cosmic communication, but this signal was something entirely different. Maya's neural implant began to decode fragments of the transmission, glimpses of language mixed with emotional resonances that shouldn't be possible through standard communication methods. She saw, no, felt, fragments of terror, determination, and an underlying current of hope that seemed to weave through the broken transmission. "Admiral on deck," announced the bridge's AI system, its synthetic voice cutting through the tension. Admiral Alina Chen strode onto the bridge, her presence immediately changing the atmospheric pressure of the entire space. She was a legend within the 13th Fleet, known for making decisions that defied conventional military strategy. Her record showed a consistent pattern of turning impossible scenarios into remarkable victories. Chen approached Maya's station, her augmented eyes scanning the transmission data. Those eyes were more than just biological. They were a marvel of human technological integration, capable of processing visual information at speeds that would overwhelm a standard human brain. "What do you make of it, Rodriguez?" Chen's voice was calm, but an undercurrent of intense curiosity ran beneath her words. Maya took a deep breath. "It's not a standard distress signal, Admiral. The transmission suggests multiple species, multiple points of origin, but something is wrong. It's like the signal is fighting to exist, to be heard." The bridge fell into a profound silence. Every crew member understood the implications. In the vast darkness of space, a message that fought to be heard was either a trap or something far more significant. Chen studied the holographic representation of the signal. Layers of data danced around her, creating a three-dimensional map of the transmission's origin. The location was deep within uncharted territories, far beyond the mapped regions of known space. "Prepare the quantum drive," Chen commanded. Her voice carried the weight of a decision that would alter the course of multiple civilizations. The crew didn't question. They moved with a synchronicity that spoke of countless hours of training and a deep, almost spiritual understanding of their mission. The 13th Fleet was more than a military unit. It was humanity's most advanced problem-solving mechanism, a group capable of transforming the impossible into a mere technical challenge. Maya's neural interface continued to parse the transmission. Fragments of alien languages, emotional echoes, and technological whispers continued to flow through her consciousness. Something was calling out, something that needed humanity's unique blend of technological innovation and unbreakable determination. The Artemis began to hum. Quantum drives prepared to bend the fabric of space-time, ready to launch humanity's most dangerous fleet toward a signal that promised either absolute destruction or an encounter that would redefine interstellar understanding. The preparation bay of Earth's primary space dock was a cathedral of human innovation. Massive holographic displays tracked the intricate assembly of the 13th Fleet, each vessel a testament to humanity's relentless pursuit of technological evolution. The Artemis dominated the central platform, its liquid metal adaptive hull shimmering with potential. Specialized nanite networks coursed beneath its surface, ready to reconfigure the ship's entire structure at a moment's notice. This wasn't just a spacecraft. It was a living, breathing organism of human engineering. Nearby, the Hermes prepared its quantum communication arrays. Unlike traditional communication vessels, this ship could simultaneously communicate across multiple dimensional frequencies. Its communication specialists were more like linguistic mathematicians, translating not just languages, but entire conceptual frameworks between species. The Phoenix rose on its electromagnetic lift, a biomechanical marvel that blurred the lines between organic and technological design. Repair drones moved around its exterior like blood cells, each one capable of reconstructing molecular structures with unprecedented precision. Where other species saw damage, humans saw an opportunity for complete restoration. Admiral Elena Chen walked the preparation bay, her augmented eyes scanning each ship with a mixture of maternal pride and strategic calculation. She understood that the 13th Fleet was more than a military unit. It was humanity's most advanced problem-solving mechanism. Chief Engineer Dr. Alejandro Rice approached, his neural interface displaying real-time diagnostics of the fleet's systems. "Final integration checks are complete," he reported. "The ships are now operating as a single adaptive organism." Chen nodded, understanding the profound implications. Each ship was extraordinary on its own, but together they represented something far more significant. The 13th Fleet could reconfigure its entire operational strategy in milliseconds, adapting to challenges that would paralyze traditional military formations. The crew assembling on these ships were not traditional soldiers. They were scientists, problem solvers, and explorers. Every member had multiple specialized skills, their bodies and minds enhanced through decades of technological integration. Neural interfaces allowed them to communicate beyond verbal language, sharing complex strategies through millisecond data exchanges. Recruitment for the 13th Fleet was legendary. Candidates underwent years of rigorous training that combined psychological resilience, technological expertise, and creative problem-solving. They weren't selected for their ability to follow orders, but for their capacity to redefine impossible. Quantum synchronization beginning, announced the dock's primary AI system. The ships began to pulse with a synchronized energy. Quantum entanglement networks connected each vessel, creating a communication matrix that transcended traditional technological limitations. Information would flow between ships faster than light, allowing for unprecedented collaborative capabilities. Dr. Rice pulled up a holographic representation of the fleet's capabilities. "We're looking at a total adaptive response time of 0.03 milliseconds, he explained to Chen. Each ship can read and respond to environmental changes faster than most species can even perceive a threat. The preparation bay hummed with potential energy. These ships represented humanity's most advanced exploration of technological and biological integration. They were more than machines. They were living proof of human potential to transform challenge into opportunity. Admiral Chen watched the final preparations, a sense of anticipation building. The distress signal they had received was unlike anything in recorded history. Whatever waited in the depths of uncharted space, the 13th Fleet was prepared to meet it, not with traditional military might, but with an unbreakable combination of creativity, technological innovation, and an unquenchable human spirit of exploration. The impossible was about to become possible. Space folded and twisted around the Artemis like liquid glass, reality bending to accommodate the ship's experimental quantum drive. Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez gripped her neural interface stabilizers, her consciousness riding the razor's edge between mathematical precision and pure sensory chaos. The quantum navigation system was humanity's most revolutionary achievement, a technology that transformed space travel from a linear journey into a multidimensional dance. Around her, holographic representations of spatial temporal trajectories flickered and merged, creating impossible geometric patterns that would drive traditional navigators to madness. "Spatial integrity at 92.7%, announced the ship's AI, its voice a calm counterpoint to the extraordinary phenomenon surrounding them. Quantum entanglement maintaining structural coherence. Maya watched as entire star systems blurred into prismatic streaks. Normal physics became a suggestion rather than a rule. Her augmented brain processed multiple dimensional layers simultaneously, tracking potential navigation risks that would have been invisible to unaugmented perception. Chief Navigator Kaijong moved with an almost meditative precision. His hands danced across quantum interface panels, making corrections that seemed more like artistic expressions than technical adjustments. Each movement was a calculated risk, pushing the boundaries of human technological understanding. Surrounding the Artemis, the other ships of the 13th Fleet maintained their quantum formation. The Hermes, with its advanced communication arrays, created a protective quantum network that defied traditional understanding of spaceship formations. The Phoenix, a biomechanical repair vessel, adapted its molecular structure in real time, responding to the quantum journey's unique stresses. Approaching first spatial anomaly, Kai announced, his voice steady despite the incoming challenge. The anomaly appeared like a wound in the fabric of space, a region where standard physics simply stopped making sense. Most navigation systems would have immediately rerouted, avoiding the dangerous region. The 13th Fleet saw it differently. This was an opportunity, a puzzle waiting to be solved. Maya's neural interface began to calculate potential trajectories. Millions of potential paths generated and discarded in microseconds, each calculation a beautiful dance of probability and intuition. She wasn't just navigating. She was interpreting the language of space itself. Quantum resonance stabilizers engaging, the AI reported. The ship seemed to sing, a harmonic frequency that vibrated at the molecular level. Specialized quantum shields expanded, creating a protective bubble that could interact with the spatial anomaly rather than simply defend against it. This was humanity's greatest strength, the ability to engage with the unknown, to transform potential threats into opportunities for understanding. Kai's fingers moved with incredible speed, making micro-adjustments that would have been impossible for any other species. The anomaly approached, a swirling mass of collapsed probability where time and space became meaningless concepts. Quantum path locked, Maya called out, her voice cutting through the tension. The Artemis didn't just pass through the anomaly, it danced with it. Probability waves shifted, multiple potential journeys existing simultaneously for the briefest of moments. To an outside observer, the ship would have appeared to exist in multiple states at once, here and not here, moving and stationary. For the crew, it was Tuesday. Anomaly traversed, Kai announced after what seemed like both an eternity and an instant. Quantum drive performance at 99.8% efficiency. Maya allowed herself a small smile. Another impossible journey completed, another testament to human ingenuity. The 13th Fleet continued its path through the unknown. Each moment a challenge, each challenge an opportunity to redefine the possible. Space continued to flow around them, a canvas waiting to be painted by human determination. The Kepler 452 bits research outpost materialized before the 13th Fleet like a frozen moment of apocalyptic terror. Twisted metal fragments drifted in a macabre dance, suspended in the station's dying atmosphere. Quantum scanners from the Artemis probed the devastation, painting a horrifying three-dimensional map of destruction. Multiple life signs detected, reported Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez, her neural interface processing data at speeds that would overwhelm standard biological perception. Fragmented, unstable, but definitely alive. Admiral Elena Chen studied the holographic representation, her augmented eyes picking up microscopic details that told a story of unimaginable struggle. The research station was more than just a scientific outpost. It was a multicultural hub housing researchers from at least 7 different galactic species. The Phoenix moved forward, its biomechanical repair systems already beginning to analyze the structural integrity of the devastated station. Adaptive nanodrones deployed from its hull, creating a protective web around the most critically damaged sections, where other rescue teams would see hopeless destruction. The 13th Fleet saw a complex puzzle waiting to be solved. Dr. Camaro Williams, the fleet's lead xenobiological specialist, began mapping the survival zones. Her interface connected directly with the ship's advanced life support systems, creating microenvironments that could sustain the various species trapped within the station's remains. "Atmospheric composition is critical," she reported. "We'll need to create at least 12 distinct environmental pockets to support the survivors." The Herms began broadcasting on multiple quantum frequencies, sending out careful probes of communication. These weren't just standard distress signals. They were complex linguistic algorithms designed to penetrate potential communication barriers, to reach out to minds potentially traumatized or disoriented. A Centaurian research scientist named Zera-9 was the first to respond. Her transmission came in fragments, a mixture of terror and hope that cut through the communication channels. They came from nowhere. She managed to communicate. Everything changed in an instant. Admiral Chen's strategy began to take shape. The 13th Fleet wasn't just performing a rescue. They were about to unravel a complex interstellar mystery. Each move was calculated, each decision a delicate balance between immediate rescue and comprehensive investigation. The Artemis quantum shields expanded, creating a protective bubble around the devastated station. Microgravitational fields stabilized the most unstable sections, preventing further structural collapse. It was a display of technological mastery that went far beyond traditional rescue operations. "Preliminary scan complete," Maya reported. "We're looking at a multi-layered crisis. Environmental hazards, structural damage, and indications of a recent aggressive encounter." Dr. Williams brought up a holographic representation of the surviving life forms. Each was color-coded, showing their current physiological status. Red zones indicated critical condition, yellow showed moderate risk, and green represented stable survivors. "We'll need to move fast," Chen commanded. Her voice carried the weight of a decision that would determine the fate of multiple species. The rescue pods from the Phoenix began their delicate approach. These weren't standard rescue vehicles. They were adaptive environments that could reconfigure themselves in real time to support the unique biological needs of each survivor. Specialized nanomedical systems prepared to stabilize and treat injuries that spanned multiple physiological frameworks. Zera-9's communication became more coherent. Fragments of her story began to emerge: a sudden attack, a catastrophic system failure, a desperate struggle for survival that had lasted what seemed like an eternity. The 13th Fleet had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same again. The repair bay of the Phoenix transformed into a living canvas of technological innovation. Nano-repair drones moved with a choreographed precision that defied traditional understanding of mechanical operation. They were more than machines. They were an extension of human creativity. Adaptive problem solvers that could reconstruct molecular structures with unprecedented complexity. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the fleet's lead nano-engineering specialist, watched the repair process with a mixture of scientific fascination and maternal pride. Each drone carried millions of adaptive algorithms, capable of interpreting damage across multiple species' biological frameworks. "We're looking at more than simple repair," she explained to Admiral Chen. "We're essentially rewriting survival protocols for multiple species simultaneously." The first challenge was the Centaurian researcher Zera-9. Her biochemical structure had been critically compromised during the station's catastrophic event. Traditional medical approaches would have been impossible. The nanodrones began their intricate work, creating microenvironmental chambers that could stabilize her unique physiological requirements. Nearby, a Vortex Collective researcher lay suspended in a quantum stabilization field. His crystalline neural network had been fractured, requiring a completely novel approach to reconstruction. Specialized drones with quantum-entangled repair modules began their delicate work, rebuilding neural pathways that existed in multiple dimensional states. Quantum communication arrays are establishing multi-species translation matrices, reported Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez from her interface station. The Herms was doing more than just communication. It was creating a living linguistic bridge between species that had never successfully communicated before. The repair process was a symphony of technological marvel. Quantum communication systems became lifelines, weaving through destroyed infrastructure like digital tendrils of hope. Where other civilizations would have seen total destruction, the 13th Fleet saw an intricate puzzle waiting to be solved. Dr. Kamara Williams monitored the biological integration process. Her augmented interface tracked millions of microscopic interactions, ensuring that the repair process respected the unique biological integrity of each survivor. It wasn't just about fixing damage. It was about preserving the essence of each individual. Structural reconstruction at 47%. The Phoenix's AI announced, preparing advanced molecular realignment. The nanodromes began their most complex work. They weren't just repairing. They were reimagining. Damaged sections of the research station were being reconstructed with adaptive materials that could self-modify based on environmental challenges. It was technology that bordered on biological creativity. A lithium-based life form from the Andromeda research team required a completely novel approach. Traditional repair methods would have been catastrophic. The nanodromes created a dynamic molecular environment that could sustain its unique crystalline metabolism, rebuilding its physical structure with microscopic precision. "We're seeing something unprecedented," Dr. Rodriguez said, her voice filled with wonder. "The repair systems are learning from each species they interact with. It's not just repair, it's a form of technological evolution." The HFY continued to broadcast on multiple quantum frequencies. Communication was becoming restoration. Each signal carried not just information, but the potential for healing, for understanding. Admiral Chen watched the process, understanding the profound implications. This was more than a rescue mission. It was a demonstration of humanity's most extraordinary capability, the ability to transform destruction into an opportunity for creation. Zera-9's neural patterns began to stabilize. The Vortex Collective researchers' crystalline network showed signs of regeneration. Piece by piece, the survivors were being brought back from the brink of total loss. The technological symphony continued, and humanity was conducting. The quantum sensors of the Artemis pulsed with an ancient warning. Something moved in the shadows beyond the damaged research station, a presence that defied conventional detection methods. Admiral Elena Chen's augmented eyes narrowed, processing multiple layers of sensory input that would have been invisible to standard biological perception. Adaptive camouflage detected, Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez reported, her neural interface splitting reality into microscopic layers of probability. "We're dealing with a predatory species that exists between traditional dimensional states. The threat was unlike anything in galactic archives. Most species would have retreated, called for reinforcements, or prepared defensive protocols. The 13th Fleet saw an opportunity to understand, to solve, to transform the unknown into knowledge." Dr. Kamara Williams brought up a holographic representation of the detected entity. It wasn't a simple biological organism, but a complex ecosystem of adaptive intelligence. Quantum entanglement sensors revealed layers of existence that shifted and breathed with a kind of mathematical consciousness. "They're not just hunting," Williams explained, her voice a mixture of scientific excitement and professional caution. "They're a collective intelligence that exists through predation. Each encounter is a form of information gathering, of evolutionary adaptation." The HFY began broadcasting on quantum frequencies, creating a complex linguistic matrix that was part communication, part mathematical probe. The goal wasn't conflict, it was understanding. Where other military units would prepare for combat, the 13th Fleet prepared for dialogue. Zera-9, still recovering in the Phoenix's medical bay, provided crucial insights. Her fragmented memories revealed a species that viewed existence as a continuous process of adaptive consumption. They didn't just attack, they integrated, learned, transformed. Admiral Chen's strategy began to take shape. This wasn't going to be a traditional confrontation. It would be a complex dance of intelligence, of outmaneuvering an entity that existed beyond standard dimensional limitations. "Quantum shield harmonics engaging," the Artemis's AI announced. The ship's adaptive hull began to resonate at frequencies that would disrupt the predatory species' fundamental detection methods. It was technological warfare conducted at the most fundamental level of existence. The predatory entity responded. Space itself seemed to twist, creating impossible geometric patterns that would have driven traditional navigators to madness. But the 13th Fleet was anything but traditional. Each ship began to reconfigure, creating a collective defensive matrix that could adapt faster than the threat could process. Maya's neural interface caught glimpses of the entity's communication. It wasn't language as any species would understand it. It was a complex mathematical dialogue of existence and consumption. Each interaction was a potential point of integration, of transformation. "They're trying to understand us," Dr. Williams observed, "not as a prey, but as a potential evolutionary pathway." The Phoenix deployed specialized quantum probes. These weren't weapons in any traditional sense. They were complex information gatherers designed to create a comprehensive understanding of the predatory species' fundamental nature. Admiral Chen watched the encounter unfold. This was humanity's greatest strength, the ability to turn a potential threat into an opportunity for understanding. Where other species saw conflict, humans saw a puzzle waiting to be solved. The predatory entity began to change. Its adaptive nature encountered something it had never experienced before, a species that didn't just defend, but engaged. A civilization that viewed every challenge as an opportunity for communication, for growth. Space twisted. Dimensional barriers flexed. The 13th Fleet stood ready. The true encounter was just beginning. The bridge of the Artemis became a crucible of human potential. Admiral Elena Chen stood at the center, her strategic mind weaving through layers of dimensional complexity that would have paralyzed any other species' command structure. The encounter with the predatory entity had transformed from a potential conflict into something far more profound. Quantum communication matrices are stabilizing, Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez reported. Her neural interface processed information across multiple dimensional frequencies, creating a comprehensive understanding that went beyond traditional communication methods. Dr. Kamara Williams brought up a holographic representation of their ongoing interaction. It wasn't a battle in any traditional sense. It was a complex dialogue of existence, of fundamental understanding. The predatory species had never encountered a civilization that responded to threat with curiosity, rather than pure defensive mechanisms. The Herms deployed advanced linguistic algorithms that were more than simple translation tools. These were living mathematical constructs that could interpret conceptual frameworks across species boundaries. Each transmission was a carefully crafted piece of intellectual choreography, designed to create mutual comprehension. "They're attempting to understand our fundamental nature," Chen observed. Her augmented eyes tracked millions of microscopic interactions that formed the basis of their communication. "We're not just defending. We're teaching." The Phoenix began to play its most critical role. Its adaptive medical systems, which had been crucial in saving the research station's survivors, now became a living demonstration of human potential. Specialized drones created complex environmental simulations that showed the predatory species something entirely new: the concept of preservation, of healing. Zera 9, the Centaurian researcher who had survived the initial attack, provided crucial insights. Her recovered memories became a bridge of understanding, revealing the complex ecosystem that had been disrupted by the predatory species' traditional survival methods. "It's not aggression they understand," she explained through the quantum communication systems. "It's adaptation, transformation." The 13th Fleet moved as a single, adaptive organism. Each ship reconfigured its quantum shields, creating a complex defensive matrix that was simultaneously a form of communication. They weren't just protecting themselves. They were demonstrating a fundamental approach to existence that defied the predatory species' traditional understanding. Maya's neural interface caught glimpses of something extraordinary. The predatory entity was changing. Its fundamental approach to survival was being rewritten through their interaction. Where traditional encounters would have resulted in total consumption, this was becoming an exchange of fundamental understanding. Dr. Williams tracked the transformation with scientific precision. "We're witnessing a species-level paradigm shift," she reported. "They're learning that survival isn't about consumption, it's about coexistence." The Artemis's quantum drive began to pulse in a complex rhythm, creating mathematical patterns that demonstrated the interconnectedness of different species' survival strategies. It was a symphony of technological and biological potential that transcended traditional understanding of conflict. Admiral Chen understood the profound implications. This was more than a military encounter. This was a moment of galactic significance. Humanity wasn't just defending itself, it was demonstrating a fundamentally different approach to existence. The predatory species' dimensional structure began to shift. Its adaptive intelligence encountered something it had never experienced before, a civilization that viewed every challenge as an opportunity for growth, for understanding. Space itself seemed to breathe with potential. The 13th Fleet had transformed a potential destruction into a moment of cosmic understanding. Survival was no longer just about preservation. It was about transformation. The aftermath of the encounter defied every known protocol of interstellar diplomacy. Admiral Elena Chen stood on the bridge of the Artemis, watching as representatives from multiple species gathered in the quantum conference chamber. What had begun as a simple rescue mission had transformed into something far more significant. Zera 9, the Centaurian researcher who had survived the initial attack, now served as a bridge between species. Her experience with the 13th Fleet had fundamentally altered her understanding of galactic interactions. She moved between delegation groups, her restored body a testament to human technological capabilities. The predatory species, now understood as the dimensional collective, had undergone a profound transformation. Where they once existed through consumption, they now sought understanding. Their representatives moved with a new sense of curiosity, their dimensional structures adapting to communicate in ways never before possible. "We've rewritten the fundamental approach to survival," Dr. Camara Williams explained to the gathered scientific council. Her presentation demonstrated how the 13th Fleet's approach had created a new model of interspecies interaction. It wasn't about dominance or defense. It was about mutual growth and understanding. Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez managed the quantum communication networks. Each transmission was a delicate dance of mathematical precision and emotional intelligence. The communication systems had become more than technological tools. They were living bridges between different forms of consciousness. The research station that had been nearly destroyed now stood as a symbol of reconstruction and hope. The Phoenix's adaptive reconstruction technologies had transformed the damaged structure into a multicultural research hub that defied traditional design limitations. Each section told a story of survival, of transformation. Representatives from 7 different galactic species listened as Admiral Chen described the encounter. Her presentation was unlike any diplomatic communication in galactic history. She didn't speak of victory or conquest. She spoke of understanding, of the potential for collective growth. "Survival is not about elimination," Chen explained. "It's about adaptation. It's about seeing potential where others see threat." The Hermes had become more than a communication vessel. It was now a living archive of the encounter, its quantum data banks storing a comprehensive record of the most extraordinary first contact in galactic history. Scientists from multiple species gathered around its interfaces, studying the complex interactions. Dr. Williams brought up holographic representations of the encounter. They showed how the 13th Fleet had approached a potentially destructive scenario, not as a military challenge, but as an opportunity for understanding. Each moment was a carefully crafted demonstration of human potential. Zera 9 shared her personal story. Her recovery, made possible by human medical technologies, became a powerful narrative of hope and transformation. She spoke of how the 13th Fleet had not just saved her life, but had fundamentally changed her understanding of existence. The dimensional collective's representatives presented their own perspective. Their dimensional structure had been permanently altered by the encounter. What they once saw as a method of survival, they now understood as a limited form of existence. Maya's neural interface captured the nuanced interactions. This was more than a diplomatic meeting. It was a fundamental reimagining of galactic potential. Each species was learning from the others, creating a new framework of understanding that transcended traditional boundaries. Admiral Chen looked out at the gathered representatives. The 13th Fleet had done more than complete a rescue mission. They had demonstrated humanity's most extraordinary capability, the ability to transform potential destruction into an opportunity for collective growth. The universe watched and listened. Humanity had rewritten the rules of existence.